two white cars and a gray and there's a yellow door over there. So anyway, I'll pick up from where I left off with my previous video, which is that it's on the light side today, but some days in the city there will be seemingly heavy orchestration of cars. It can be done. This started a long time ago that I started noticing it, and I wondered, like, it's very indirect signaling, or it could just be a form of gang stalking. See, there's a black car and then a white car. Some of these things could be like almost correlated with things going on in one's life, either mine or maybe something in the news or what have you. So he wants to be in a coma. So if one were to be harassed, say you accidentally, like, say you're someone who minds your own business, you're living your own life, and in general you didn't really have any issues where you would have to speak up or say anything, you know, it could feel like, you know, or say you could wind up seriously harassed in like a weird way and have no clue why, unless it's like a world takeover program, like, oh, in a way the tobacco industry wanted to make sure other people didn't take over, right? So they didn't want to be exposed for their heavily sedated formulas. They're formulas that cause a lot of addiction, nicotine and stuff like that, so that people keep buying and buying and buying, and the families of the farmers of tobacco wind up wealthy for centuries, while the people who often pay to smoke cigarettes are not that wealthy, right? Same thing with the sodas, the bigger soda brands. They tried to get a heads up, like a kickstart in the world of like Whole Foods, you know, greenwashing, whitewashing, all this stuff, and trying to, the thing is, like, technically it is better to eat better foods and to consume better foods, the lighter side of the food industry as opposed to the dark side. Food is very heavily agriculture. Wow, it's brutal out there. They've had documentaries on this topic, but point being, cars could be situated to harass or seemingly even support someone. It could go the other way, or to make you worried. Say someone convinces you, I'll just use a simple thing like divorce. Say you wind up in a divorce, you know, someone steals your man or, you know, or whatever, and your neighbors are like, you better legal up, you better lawyer up, you better lawyer up. You know, they're gonna take you for everything, you're gonna lose the house, you're gonna wind up with your kids like in an apartment somewhere on the street, you know. And there are people who are willing to attack families, meaning steal husbands, wives, and so forth and so on. And they might do it with a lot more intention than, oh, we just fell out of love and back in love with someone else. You know, it could be done with a lot more intention. So anyway, so that person, the person who has to lawyer up, all of a sudden, you know, has to figure out this whole new world. And I forget my point there, but sorry, it has to do with having to learn a whole new system. But that person who lawyers up, they could wind up, you know, all of a sudden, vans promoting or cars promoting someone's law services, signage, billboards, all of a sudden that's all you see. And one has the argument of, well, if that's what your mind is focused on, that's what you'll see. No, there are people, if they find out, guess what? You know, either divorce is on the rise or someone needs to lawyer up. So everybody is out to get that person to you know, ask them for their services. Or it becomes a game. If someone winds up on someone's narrative, say a political narrative. Oh, look, they're Shay Construction. Speaking of, who hasn't heard the name Shay? S-K, like horses. And if your name starts with S, you could be in the middle of someone's game of horse or chess or pawn, whatever. So, point being, there's a lot of things that can happen. Excuse me. And Is it harassment or support? Is it forcing someone into a world that they didn't really want to wind up in? You know, some people might innately be more religious, even if they don't seem religious. They just led a life that wouldn't need to include law unless there was a major accident. Wink, wink, if it was an accident, not set up and orchestrated, or a hit was out against someone, one way or the other. But you see what I mean? So someone who comes from the land of, well, everybody basically respects each other. There's no major reason to have any major issues. Hopefully you can get through life fairly unscathed without having to engage the services of lawyers or hospitals and this, that, and the other. So if something were to happen, then a person who was hoping for a much more peaceful life winds up forced into the world of darkness, technically, because you have to learn a whole bunch of things that you didn't really want to learn, and it kind of jades people. You're jaded. There's Minnesota, speaking of. Spark up. Art done. You think you can stop what we do? I doubt it. So it's really a kid's expression, artistic expression song. I read the lyrics because I wanted to understand what they meant. And these are kids out of Dublin, like Ireland. In the lyrics, they name an actual community location, like arts community services school or whatever, daycare, not daycare, but like a community center. That's what I want to say. And the song is actually called Spark, I think. So here is a Chevy Spark. And we don't want to get in, we do. We want to get into the fact that there is a link between Minnesota and the United Kingdom. Prince died on Queen Elizabeth's birthday. Don't let the elevator take you down. So, and he lived in a compound in and around Minnesota, whatever it was called. Also, Queen Elizabeth's husband died during the George Floyd trial, Minnesota. So here we are. You think you can stop what we do? I doubt it. And now they have a whole bunch of outrage, riots and everything in England because of something that happened in Southport, to a Taylor Swift workshop for kids in a dance workshop, and some kids got stabbed, and even the yoga instructor and everything. And riots broke out because it has, there's a clash between people who belong maybe to a mosque or that community and, hardcore Irish, so, oh gosh. So here we go again, and the narrative continues, the rift, between two separate worlds, two types of people, and, do we want peace, or do we have to clash, and so on and so on. The thing is, coexisting in the world is hard to do. There are powers that be, and then people who don't seem to have power. Everybody has a different definition of what power is, and what it looks like, and what happiness is, and what that looks like. But one thing's for certain, we all at least want to feel like we have control of our own bodies, of our own minds, of our own souls. And if something unseen or supernatural were to come in and violate those boundaries, then and there we have an issue.